Greetings, Your Excellencies. I am Precious Osinaku, and I'm your host for the Peacemakers podcast. As I announced last week, we're beginning the beautiful series on understanding the human nature today. This series also doubles as a countdown for the launch of the Mediation Trainings Institute's International Day of Appreciation. As we progress in this series, I would explain and clarify what we mean by the MTI's International Day of Appreciation, which would be on the 2nd of April. To begin this beautiful series with me, I have the president of the Mediation Training Institute, Ambassador Ogunyannwo. Now, Ambassador Osegun is someone I admire so much. He's distinguished himself in the field of peace building. He's a relationship expert. He's someone we should listen to. Thank you so much, Ambassador. I'm really excited we're beginning this series on understanding the human nature with you. And thank you again for honoring our invite.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Yes, so you'll be answering a few questions.
A privilege that will be.
Okay. Why do you think it's important that we understand the human nature?
Thank you. Knowledge empowers. We understand why people do what they do, then it becomes easier for you to tolerate them, and more importantly, to accommodate them. Knowledge empowers. For instance, if a normal person gives me a slap, I'm very likely to retaliate. But as a meditator, if a madman gives me a slap, I'm likely to run away. Why? Because I understand the situation. If you find me fighting with a madman, it's very unlikely that you separate us. I may not know the difference. Knowledge empowers.
Yeah, I like the fact you said. You say your beginning phrase, saying knowledge empowers. Yes. Because truly, my attitude to my fellow man would be dependent on my understanding of him. So yes, that's why it's really important that we understand the human nature. So what does it mean to understand the human nature? What does it mean? What does it mean?
What it entails is, it means that you appreciate that people are different and they have the right to be different. It means that you will not create a mold and want to force people into it. It means that you'll appreciate that people can be different from you, and that does not make them bad. No, they're just different, and they have a right to be different. It also means that as you relate with each person, you know that it cannot all be the same. So it entails your knowing that the way you deal with A should not be the same you deal with B, C, D. No. So it provides that versatility. You become versatile in dealing with people, being able to respond to their peculiar proclivities based on their unique temperament traits.
Wow. From your explanation, it means that this understanding is very key. It's almost like what we can.
Without which not? Silent colon.
Without which?
Without which not?
Okay.
Without it, it's difficult to manage differences, build and sustain relationships, promote peace and harmonious coexistence. All mediators, in fact, all of us, whether you're a mediator or not, understanding human nature is key to peaceful coexistence.
Very true. Very true. I can't but agree. So what are the characteristics of the human nature?
Thank you for asking. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you too.
Thank you. There are different schools of thoughts, classifying people. Some use 4, some use 6, some use 9. But the most popular is the 4 promoted by, we have 2 main persons. One is the late Dr. Zig Ziglar, and the other is the author of Why You Act the Way You Do, Tim Lai. Talking about the choleric, sanguine, phlegmatic, and melancholic. That all humans can be put into those 4 classifications as their dominant traits. We all have traces of all of them. The cholerics, for instance, are those who are domineering, who have the tendency to lord it over others, who can see the bigger picture easily and can convert stumbling blocks into stepping stones. So we talk about challenges and not problems. Talk about the sanguines too. Those are those who make friends easily. Great marketers, great optimists. They meet you today as if they have known you all their lives. But they are the types that will not be too organized. We have the phlegmatics too, who are calm, relaxed, who are reconciled to life. They take life easy. They also do not like taking risks. And we have the melancholics, who are reserved, who are introspective. They can see patterns that others cannot see. They are very organized. So that's the 4 main classifications. Again, the cholerics, the sanguines, the phlegmatics, and the melancholics.
Thank you. I mean, I remember having to learn this classification as a teenager, and it was just very well, it was eye-opening for me, that's one. And then having to of course, as I grew, having conversations with people, friends, and coming into some kind of knowledge, you hear people say things like, particularly when I've had these conversations with people, they bring a religious angle to it, that how would you just box yourself, try to say, or you claim a kind of personality, or you say, oh, I'm just a choleric, that's why I'm like this. So this sort of justified that in this categorization can make people maybe live in denial or some sort of stereotyping, and then people are just complacent as to growing. So what do you think, or what's your take on it?
Thank you. If we are not careful, we may actually limit ourselves once we know our temperament traits. So that's why we have a training on this, understanding human nature. The essence of that training is to be able to understand who you are, with the aim of trying to amplify the areas of strength and then work to overcome the areas of weaknesses, and also be able to relate with people who are like you and also having the different other times. So when you believe that you are like this, you cannot change. No. You can change. The room for improvement is the largest room in the world. Understand who you are. Know your areas of strengths and areas of weaknesses. Amplify the areas of strengths and then work to overcome the areas of weaknesses. That would make you a better type in any of the categorizations.
Wow, this is just very enriching, because now I know that the purpose of this understanding is not to claim some sort of or make an excuse for, in quotes, maybe weaknesses or strengths or something, but to more like, oh, there is work to do, there are things to pay attention to, and
yes, very true. Yes. Knowledge empowers.
Very true. So how does this understanding affect us, first as individuals and also in our relationships with people?
Thank you. That is key. Know thyself is about the best information you can ever have. When you know yourself, then you know what has been driving your choices. If you're on a journey, you know where you're coming from, where you are, and where you're going. It will make the journey smoother. So for the individual, essentially, it helps you to know what has led you thus far, and then give you the empowerment to make the future one that is your choice. So you can determine going forward what you want to do with the knowledge. That's for yourself. Relating with people too, it helps, like we said earlier, that this person is different from you. It's okay. They are different from me, it's okay. So to prevent us from stereotyping people. And this person, they are okay. It also prevents us from castigating people. Because when you know why people do what they do, it becomes easier to tolerate or accommodate, as the case may be. So in daily intercourse with people, you need to appreciate the fact, like the Carnegie says, that we should avoid by all means interfering with their peculiar ways of being happy, so long as such peculiar ways do not by violence interfere with us. Again, in daily intercourse with people, we should refrain from interfering with their peculiar ways of being happy, so long as such peculiar ways do not by violence interfere with us. So let people be. Let people be. So long as what they are doing in themselves does not affect us violently. That way you can observe people and just have fun observing same people acting true to type. So wow, this one must be a choleric, one must be sanguine, one must be phlegmatic, one must be melancholic. That knowledge enriches our daily intercourse with others.
Wow, I mean, seeing people acting true to type. But then I believe there's also a place for nurture, you know. Yes, I mean, I think we've talked about that in our little discourse, that there is a place for nurture.
Yes. And I'm happy you mentioned that, because sometimes there are three words people use interchangeably: temperament, character, and personality. Maybe next discussion we'll talk more about that. But for basics, we have stored in our DNAs a unique temperament traits, different from being temperamental. And as we go on, our environmental settings, parental upbringing, the instructors who taught us the kind of friends we made, our religion would help nurture us. So when we add the nature to the nurture, the character is formed. The personality is what we project. It can be the same as the character or maybe different from the character. It is the same when no external influence can have bearing on you. It is different when you are wearing a mask of survival. I think we can talk about that at the next episode.
We will talk about that in the next episode. Thank you. We have come to the end of today's session on understanding the human nature. I'm sure you would agree with me that we should bring Mr. Segun back. Thank you for listening. To join us next week as we continue on understanding the human nature. I remain Precious Osinaku. Thank you. At Mediation Training Institute, we believe in the sustainable development goals as projected by nations of the world. We also believe that the attainment of those goals will be possible when we build stronger communities by addressing root causes of conflict, poverty, and inequalities. For inquiries, you can call 081 44 855 873 or 08031115115, or visit our social media pages, Mediation Training Institute Facebook and LinkedIn, at Mediation MTI Twitter, at MTI Nigeria Instagram. Mediation Training Institute, building peace, creating harmony, sustaining relationships.